Hello everybody, good morning and welcome to the United Stand. This is your latest Manchester United news and transfer news. I hope you're all doing very well this morning. Lots to update you on. Yes, we'll be talking about this Bruno thing, Luke Shaw versus Mourinho, amongst other things. But first of all, we're going to be talking about Kamavinga. This story, just 24 hours ago it came out, and it's grown, and it appears to be a very credible story about Kamavinga and Manchester United. Also potential alternatives, and I think the positive for me is that if this momentum grows, there appears to be an appetite for Manchester United to buy a midfielder. Although when you look at the midfielders that we're looking at, this very much seems to run with the theme that this is about a replacement for Pogba rather than a player to come in and play with Pogba. It doesn't feel like we're looking for specialist CDMs. It looks like we're looking for Pogba replacements. I mean, Kamavinga has been touted as the next Paul Pogba so much that, is it not reasonable to think Pogba's going and that's why we're after Kamavinga? But I would like to see Manchester United bringing in a player to play with Pogba, with Van der Beek, rather than replacing them. But we'll see how that goes. And obviously that strategy is something that will be scrutinised when the season starts, because I think especially CDM, a lot of people were talking about Pelina last night from Sporting Lisbon playing for Portugal. I think he's a good player. I don't think we're linked to him. But anyway, let me bring you the latest with Kamavinga. I've heard this a couple of times now in the last 24 hours that the price for Kamavinga will be £40 million. Which is around just under 50 million euros. It's interesting because Mohamed Bahafsi, who is the very good French journalist around French transfer news, he's come out again and said this morning that Manchester United have yet to. Sorry, that's from somebody else. Edward Camavinga's agent, which is Jonathan Bartnett, who is also the agent for Gareth. He's about 100 players, I think he's got, but Luke Shaw is one, Gareth Bale. He's officially informed Rennes about the talks with Manchester United. So obviously, Rennes informed Manchester United. Rennes informed Kamavinga's entourage about the transfer fee the club would ask as well, which is €100 million. But Kamavinga's advisors have already advised that they will not be extending their stay at Rennes. There'll be no new contract signed by Kamavinga. He's only got 1 year left on his deal, and that Kamavinga's agent has informed Rennes that there has been talks or interest from Manchester United. So it appears with Kamavinga we're getting to that point where there is genuine interest from Manchester United. Whether that genuine interest can go any bigger, I do think we need something a little bit more than that, than what we've got at the moment for it to be solidified and concrete. But he's got a year left on his contract. I don't propose to go in on what Kamavinga is, and we did that yesterday. This is a news show, of course. But look, he is a very talented 18-year-old player who is 6 foot. He's very good at tackling. He's got great tenacity, and I think he will get better and better. In many ways, you look at Jude Bellingham and what he can become, and you look at Kamavinga and you wonder what he can become as well. He is one of the best up-and-coming talents in the world, and he would be a superb signing for Manchester United. The talk of €100 million is ridiculous. I think Mohamed Bahafsi himself said it's a negotiation tactic. 40 million is what I've heard from two separate people in the last 24 hours, and I think 40 million, I don't know what you think, but I think 40 million is about right when you've got a player with 1 year left on their contract, and there doesn't have to be a massive amount of interest in Kamavinga this summer. Like, there might be interest, but there doesn't need to be a bidding war. And if you don't get into a bidding war and you just wait until January and you buy him for free, you see what I mean? I think Rennes need to cash in, and I think £40 million is realistic. I think £40 million is fair enough, and I think £40 million is what we would be looking to spend for a decent midfielder anyway. So I like that feel. I like that fee. Arnab says 40 million is about right, as does Dougie. And yeah, look, get him now. I don't see it happening, says United Extra. I'm not going to change my opinion. I don't think it's going to happen, but I do think it. I've always felt, and I know many of you have said it as well, that Kamavinga is a very realistic option with 1 year left on his deal. There's plenty of options out there. I like Zakaria. I think Zakaria is the thing. Look, I want to be a little bit controversial here, and there are risks around Zakaria. He's in his mid-20s, has had a bad knee injury, but he is a specialist CDM, and I just think, 1 year left on his deal, you might get him for 30 million. Part of me just says, get one of those two players and I'll be very, very happy. Zakaria or Kamavinga, 1 year left on their deal. Very, very gettable. very reasonably priced, one of those two players I'd be over the moon with. And I'd arguably go with Zakaria if we could keep Pogba, because I think we need a specialist CDM. And look, somebody says Lema from Austria is a good one as well. There's plenty. There's plenty out there. And a CDM is what Manchester United need to go and get. But whether Ollie thinks that is another matter. But we'll have to wait and see what happens with Kamavinga. But certainly the news stories around Kamavinga are not slowing down. If anything, they're speeding up a bit. Mohamed Bahafsi is the French transfer expert, really. And he's saying that those talks with the agent have occurred. There does need to be a bit of persuasion, because the feeling is that Kamavinga would like to stay in France. But look, let's see what happens with that. It'd be a very good deal. A few people asking about Jaden Sancho. Jaden Sancho, what did I read about Sancho this morning? I read a few updates yesterday, but they're not worth buttering your toast with. They were basically closer than you ever can imagine. They're close. Talk of the deal happening after the Euros. That's not actually accurate. I think even I've been incorrect about this. I've always said that Sancho won't sign for United until after the Euros in July. And, we've been dragged in from decent sources and decent journalists who've been saying it's closer than close, it's imminent. Look, I remember 2 weeks ago now, certainly a week and a half ago, you had pretty reliable journalists saying this deal is imminent. And, we're a week and a half later, and I've always said, can I have clarity on what's close and what's imminent? Because imminent and close to me means it's happening in the next few hours, not in the next few weeks. But to be fair, I think it was Romano who said about a week and a half ago, 2 to 3 weeks for this deal to happen. And people were like, nah, that's a load of nonsense because everyone's saying it's close or imminent. Well, I think Romano's going to be right, isn't he? He said a week and a half ago, 2 or 3 weeks. Well, it's definitely going to be 2 weeks by the time England are knocked out. So I think just a quick update on Sancho, that he is going to happen to United. We know that. But I don't think after the Euros. I think once England are out. So, it could be Wednesday, Thursday. I think the new kit's coming out at the end of the week. That's what we're sort of hearing. Nothing concrete on that, but I think the new team viewer thing kicks in, so get the kit out. But I do think that I think once England are out of the Euros, that's when the Sancho deal can happen. So it's not the end of the Euros. The Euros don't end for another 2 weeks. But once England are out of the Euros, that'll be the thing. If proposed cost for Kamavinga is so high with 1 year left on the contract, why is estimate for Pogba so much lower? Is it an age and prospect thing, says Dara Kennedy? It's probably wages and everything like that, but you're right. I think 40 million is too much. Pogba in the same situation, and we would be lucky to get 50 million for him, and he's world class, says Shane. Yeah, but you know what? United are terrible. United are absolutely terrible at transfers, and it's a different situation, isn't it? Because it depends how, you make a good point there just before we move on, because I want to talk about Shaw and Mourinho, but you make a good point there. Why is Pogba available for about 40 to 50 million? Well, that's what people want to pay. It's not what United want. United want 70 million, but there's a feeling that if Pogba goes, people will only offer 40 to 50 million this summer, but Kamavinga's available for 40 million. So how can they be the same price when one's a prospect and one's in his prime? The reason for that is basically because Kamavinga isn't forcing a move. Kamavinga is like, well, I will stay at Rennes for another year. But he won't sign a new contract, but he will stay for another year. And Rennes feel that they will get the money they want this summer. Manchester United with Paul Pogba, they know he's not going to sign a new contract, and they don't. Also, Paul Pogba might not want to leave this summer. He might want to wait a year. So the price gets driven down there to a point where United have to take a lot less than they'd want. I don't get the Bruno hate. He's literally played 84 games this season, says Daniel Kirk. Plus, I thought he played well when he came on yesterday. We'll talk about Bruno in a moment. And Amit says, morning Mark, does this mean we are selling Pogba or Van der Beek? Romano said that. If so, whom will you see sell irrespective of their contract left? Can't see 6 midfielders, says Amit. You know what, Amit? I don't know. I don't normally sit on the fence, but I don't know who we're going to sell out of those two players. I don't want to see any of them go, to be honest. Mark, sell Pogba, get Camavinga and Renato Sanchez. With Bruno, it'll be the best midfield, combative and forward. Ball progresses, thoughts, as AJ. I think the most likely person to go is probably Pogba, just because of his contract situation. I'd be absolutely gutted. I thought Renato Sanchez was fantastic last night. And if Pogba was to leave, I think Renato Sanchez would be a decent option. But look, AS in Spain are saying that United massive admirers of Saul Niguez, and they see him as a what did they say about Saul Niguez? They're attentive to the situation with Saul Niguez. There's this belief that Saul Niguez wants to leave Atletico Madrid, and Manchester United are attentive to the situation, probably admirers of Saul Niguez. The issue with Saul Niguez is he's not available for 40 million. He's going for 60, probably 60 million. And again, with Saul Niguez, I'm not saying that United won't sign Saul Niguez. I mean, I am saying we won't sign Saul Niguez. I've been saying this for years because we get linked to him every summer. We won't sign Saul Niguez, but if we did sign Saul Niguez, he would be a replacement for a Van der Beek or a Pogba again. Much the same as I think Kamavinga might be. It feels like we're looking for a Pogba replacement, and this has always been the story, to be fair. Lots of people have said it. Romano said it was when he was on this show a few weeks ago, that United, if they're going for a midfielder, it depends on the situation of Pogba and Van der Beek. So, look, whether we like it or not, we haven't entered this summer obsessed with a CDM like we are. We've entered this summer with an obsession for Sancho, an obsession for a centre-back and a backup right-back. And if Pogba or Van der Beek leave, we'll go into the market and buy a replacement. And it looks like that's what these Camavinga and Saul Niguez links are. They're about replacements for Pogba, or they're not about improving that midfield. Because obviously there is this belief that people like Fred and McTominay are good enough. Why are we moving away from especially CDM, says King Shah? Everyone is getting excited over players we don't need. Well, it's funny, Fred should go and Kamavinga / Zakaria in, says Connor Harrison. I mean, I want to talk about Bruno, but just very, very quickly, I was doing a Twitch Euro chat last night on my Twitch channel for the Euros, and was talking about the England team on Tuesday, and how Wayne Rooney had basically said he'd pick a big back four, but he'd have three centre midfielders playing, three CDMs, Henderson, Rice and Phillips, and then his front three didn't have Grealish, Mount or Foden in it. Gary Neville did one on Twitter where it was a back five with two holding midfielders. Sam Allardyce has just come out and said, yeah, let's play a back five. Southgate will probably play a back five. And most of England are like, what? We respect these people. Why are they doing this? And I think it's a little bit like this at United as well. We're like, what? Why do we keep playing McMangaluf? Why do we keep playing McFred when you've got people like Donny and Twansebi you can try? And I've got a theory. I'm not saying it's right, but I've got a theory. I actually think football fans have evolved over the last decade more than people who are ex-players and current managers. Not all of them, but I think some managers are, because they've been in the game a long time, and some players because they've played the game. I think football's moved on so much in the last 5 to 10 years. And as football consumers, we've moved on with it. We've seen the development of people like Bruno and Mount and Foden and Grealish. And it's not really an English thing to have players like that. These players that you could drop into a Real Madrid side or a Portugal side or an Italian side or a PSG side, and they would love a Foden, a Mount, a Grealish, a Saka, a Sancho. These sort of, they're very technical players that the English game really... I mean, we've had a few, but not in abundance. And I feel that, the Wayne Rooneys of this world, the Gary Nevilles, maybe even the Ole Gunnar Solskjaers, certainly the Southgates, they're stuck in the world that they played football in. And they have not adapted to the modern game the way that we have as consumers, because we watch football all the time and we change with football. We see what Pep does, Klopp does, what everybody's doing in the English game, and we've moved on. And I think I no longer get frustrated when these ex-players I admire come out with, let's play a back five with three holding midfielders, because I think they're Jurassic Park tactics that they've grown up with, and then they've become pundits, and maybe they're not consuming football or involved in football in a way that allows them to develop. You look at United. Carrick has always been at United. Ollie, Mulder and United. We've got this mates rates thing. Who have they learnt from? Bloody Mourinho, Van Gaal. It's a long time since Sir Alex Ferguson was managing a football club, and football has moved on a lot. And I don't think Man United have moved on much in their coaching, and I think that's reflected in some of our ex-players and some of these coaches as well. The English game, in the professional sense, in relation to ex-players and some managers, is quite archaic. But as football fans, we've moved on and we see the game as the modern thing that it is. And that's just my theory on it. So I don't get frustrated when Wayne Rooney wants to play CDMs or Gary Neville wants to play a back five. I don't think they've moved on. I think that they're stuck in the past. And I think as many football fans, we do move on as consumers, and we see that, You don't need two pace merchants next to Harry Kane. You need a creative source like a Grealish or a Foden or a Mount. You know, we don't need a back five. We need to, you know, you need to use these players like Bellingham and Rice and, you know, get Sancho in and people like that. Quick break from the midfielders. Who do you see as the starting goalkeeper this season? I think De Gea or Henderson could leave if not first choice thoughts. So when the goalkeeper's a massive problem to solve, Matt, I really think it is. I think it is, but HL says, remember technical players are better at receiving, passing and foremost keeping the ball. If you play the likes of McFred, you're prioritising getting the ball back after losing it. Well, yeah, I think you know what, that is right. You know, if you've got people like Foden and Grealish and Mount, they're technical players who can keep hold of the ball and be patient. Is that the English way? You know, traditionally, we struggled for years because we would just kick and rush. And, you know, look at the way United set up their midfield. It is a little bit kick and rush. It's a bit tenacious. It's a bit Tony the Tiger. Is it patient technical players? No. And you know, maybe that's a coaching flaw through the whole club is what I'm trying to say, is that we're not actually eyes open to the bigger world. And we're never going to be when we're recruiting from within. You know, to learn new things, you need to bring in new ideas. And, you know, look at the revolution at Chelsea in a few short months with Tuchel and his new coaches coming in. But look, I did want to talk about... there's these comments from Luke Shaw just very quickly. Let me bring these in. So we spoke about Kamavinga, we spoke about Sancho, we've spoken about Saul Niguez. There is hope in the midfield. I want to say that. There is hope in the midfield that Manchester United are going to do things, but I do still think it's very much around Pogba and Van der Beek leaving. Now, hopefully this afternoon we will have a video going up for you which will give you a wide update around a lot of transfers. So hopefully that's going to go up this afternoon at about 3:30. So I will park that for there now. But what I want to talk about is Luke Shaw for a moment. Now, Luke Shaw has come out with comments about Jose Mourinho, and a lot of United fans are like, yeah, go on, Luke, with your chest, this, that and the other. And basically there's a headline of Borino and you know, Luke Shaw's saying he's obsessed with me, he's always talking about me. Now, I'm not going to lie about that. That is true. I think Mourinho is very bitter about his experience at Manchester United, and Luke Shaw always seems to be a target for his thing. Do I think Luke Shaw should be reacting to it? I've heard Luke Shaw react to it a few times now, and I just think at the end of the day, is it really worth getting into that? Because I wake up this morning and there are still remnants of people that don't like Luke Shaw and do think Mourinho is right. So unless you've got 100% of the people behind you, I always think, is it really worth getting into these public spats? Because, you know, it puts a little bit of pressure on Luke Shaw if he makes any mistakes in the future. The reality is, for many people, Luke Shaw was our player of the season last year. He has turned a lot of opinions round. I know United fans who were calling him fat, useless, get rid of him. Even halfway through last season, you've got people saying his positional sense is crap. Oh, he's overrated, this, that and the other. And they've absolutely been sat down in their football opinion. And I think that's the most important thing for Luke Shaw. Nobody really respects Mourinho in the English game anymore for his ability right here, right now. Mourinho's respect is, you know, it's an encyclopedia, but it was from 10 years ago. Mourinho will go down as one of the greatest Premier League managers ever. But over the last 5 years, he's not even in the top 5. He's not been good. So I don't think Luke Shaw really needs to spend any time publicly talking about Jose Mourinho, because everybody knows Jose Mourinho hasn't got the credibility that he used to have. Jose Mourinho cannot sit there and say Luke Shaw's not that good, because we're living in the world right now. And it goes back to what I was saying before, Jurassic Park. 10 years ago, Mourinho talking about Luke Shaw. Well, Luke Shaw probably wasn't playing 10 years ago, but you know what I mean? People would have hung off Mourinho's words. Now, Luke Shaw is one of the best left-backs in Europe, fact, and Mourinho has been sacked by 3 Premier League clubs in the last few years, and he's now managing in Italy. What Mourinho says about Luke Shaw is irrelevant, apart from the fact that it's entertainment on TalkSport or whatever else he's doing, and if people want to listen to it, that's up to them. Luke Shaw, just focus on your football, mate. You don't need to react. You're never going to change his mind. Mourinho is stubborn. That's why he's box office. You're never going to change his mind. Don't let it bother you. Luke Shaw coming out saying I'm obviously living in his head. Well, to be honest, Luke, it sounds like you might be living a bit in your head by even reacting to it. Just don't react to it. You don't need to. You're one of the best left-backs in Europe, and most Manchester United fans know that, and a lot of fans outside of Manchester United realise that now. Just get on with your game. Don't react to it. Mark, I think a Varane-Pogba swap is a real possibility this summer. Similar situation for both players would make sense for both parties, says Anurag. Only if Paul Pogba wants to do it. Jose versus Shaw is tiring now, honestly, says Annie Bro. They should just move on from each other. Mourinho's not going to move on. He'll mention it again. And he'll be waiting for a bad performance by Luke Shaw to say, I told you so. That's why Luke shouldn't get involved. Because as a footballer, you're not a FIFA player. You are going to have a bad game. You are going to make a mistake. And what if he does it against Germany? That's what I'm on about. I'm more than happy with Luke Shaw at Manchester United. But, you know, does he need to publicly be talking about Mourinho 2 days before a massive game against Germany? What if he makes a mistake and then everyone will be like, Jose sat Shaw down? You don't need to do it. Just don't say anything publicly. But look, everybody reacts within everything a little bit differently. I just got to talk about Bruno Fernandes. Can I just say, and obviously Beth and Levin were on last night. I was watching the show. I really enjoyed it. And, you know, I thought they had really good chemistry. Not in that way, but, you know, good football chat. I want to talk about Dalot as well, Sharwin. Thank you very much. One of our members there asking about Dalot. But the thing about Mourinho is, people say Mourinho should shut up. Can I just say this? Jose Mourinho has been paid a lot of money for his opinion. Jose Mourinho is not the manager of Manchester United. He's not the manager of Spurs. He's not the manager of Chelsea. He's been paid a lot of money to be a pundit. He's been paid for his opinion. If I was on BBC Tonight talking about France and, you know, I'm not a big fan of Griezmann and I was being paid for it, I might just drop something in about Griezmann like, you know what, he should have come to United a few years ago. That's where he started going wrong for me. You know, I don't think he's a top 10 player in the world. I think he's overrated. I think he's a French James Maddison. You know, that would cause a lot of problems, but that's basically what Mourinho is doing. He's being paid to give an opinion on football. That's all I don't really have a problem with Mourinho slagging Luke Shaw off, because at the end of the day, the people who are paying him to do that, you know what you get with Mourinho. He's totally wrong. He is obsessive and he is bitter about Luke Shaw. But look, he's being paid to give a platform for that. Luke Shaw's a professional footballer. He doesn't need that in his head. He doesn't need to worry about it, because the reality is, it is burning Mourinho, but just don't get involved. On Bruno, look, the Euros final is in 2 weeks' time. Portugal, many people thought Portugal would go at least semi-finals, which is in a week and a half's time. Bruno Fernandes is out of the Euros. He's got at least a week and a half, arguably 2 weeks extra holiday that he was not going to get. For me, I wanted Portugal to go through. I love Bruno. I love Ronaldo. And I thought Belgium were a little bit boring. But at the end of the day, I wake up this morning and I thought it last night. I'm actually, from a Manchester United view, quite happy that that Portugal are out, because Bruno Fernandes gets an extra couple of weeks off. So for me, that's a real positive. Michael Grundell, welcome to the Members Club. It's a real positive. I didn't want Portugal to go out because I want Bruno to do well and I want Ronaldo to do well. I like them both, but they're out. That's football. And he's got 2 weeks off now, and that's the positive. I mean, 80 games in a calendar year is a disgrace, by the way. It's a disgrace. This is the United channel, and I said it all last season, and many of you did. The rotation of the squad last season was appalling. Absolutely appalling. How can a professional footballer be playing up to 80 games in a calendar year? That is appalling, and the coaching and the fitness department at United need to have a strong, hard look at that. There were options throughout the season to not pick Bruno. Like, you could have, you know, especially from Christmas, he wasn't playing as well. You could have put Pogba at 10 and played McFred instead of putting him on the wing. You could have brought Van der Beek in. We've got to be cleverer next season, not only to look after our players, but also I think players were underused last year, like Twan Sebi, Brandon Williams, certainly Donny van der Beek. So, you know, that's appalling, but at least he's got 2 weeks break. And look, if England get knocked out tomorrow night, I'll be gutted as an Englishman. But again, I suppose you wouldn't expect England to go to the finals anyway, so it's not a bonus 2 weeks, but it is another 2 weeks off before the Euros are over for people like Rashford and Luke Shaw and Harry Maguire. So, you know, there is the positives if these players go out, definitely. But on Bruno Fernandes, I mean, I've got nothing to say. I mean, it was unbelievable last night. I put a tweet out saying Jota's been crap in this tournament. I never really thought about him as a Liverpool player. I just watched the game and thought, every game I've watched him, I thought Jota had been really shit. Like, really shit. And, you know, and then you've got people going in on Bruno, and I'm like, but Bruno in the first game against Hungary actually played well. He was poor against Germany, and then he got dropped for the game against France, and then he was dropped for the game against Belgium. But then when he came on, I thought he played way better than Moutinho. He had a couple of shots from distance. And the thing about Bruno is, it's a little bit like Luke Shaw and Mourinho. There is this issue with Roy Keane was on about him yesterday as well. I don't get this. There seems to be some issue with Bruno Fernandes, and it's very similar with Pogba, and we've seen it with David De Gea again. And I don't know what the word is for this, but I've always been very vocal about this. I've seen it with some of our ex-players, I see it with the media, I see it with some of our fans, and I definitely see it with rival fans. It seems to me, if you are a talented foreign player for Manchester United, you get targeted in a way that is obsessive beyond any of our English or homegrown players. It's weird. I don't get it. Bruno Fernandes is a very good player. He is knackered, he is not playing as well as he can, and he needs a break. But people want to turn him into Pepe. You know, they want to turn him into Ozil. They want to turn him into these massive flops. When in the first year at United, he was one of the best players in Europe. And he will be one of the best players in Europe next season. But there is a weird obsession. And there are actually a minority in our fan base that have it with Bruno as well. And I just find it odd, because I'm like, well, crack on. But I really do think it says more about you than it does about anybody else, because I love Bruno Fernandes. I think he's a fantastic player. I think his desire for the game is a rarity. You know, he's obsessive. And I think his ability is brilliant. But I think he's been overplayed and he's exhausted. And he needs a break. And not for 1 minute was I fussed or bothered when he didn't start the game yesterday. I was like, well, I sort of expected it. My main priority is what he's going to do in a Manchester United shirt. And I'm very happy with him at Manchester United. And I do find it very odd, the obsessive nature of some people around him. And it's interesting how it's now, again, starting to... and when I'm talking about Ozil, by the way, obviously I know that Ozil was very good for Arsenal at the start. But in the last 2 or 3 years, he was shite. When you gave him that big contract, Arsenal fans, he became shit. And I'm talking about that Ozil, where, you know, he was complete and utter flop in these last 2 or 3 years. But Bruno Fernandes, it's starting to seep into our ex-players now. And I've seen that with Pogba, and I've seen it with De Gea, and I've seen it with Martial. And I'm like, yeah, I don't like that. I don't like it when our ex-players are starting to go in on one of our best current players. It's like, there's a weird sort of bitterness to that, and I don't get it. But look, I'm very happy with Bruno Fernandes. For me, he's my favourite player at United. I think he's our best player. He's our most consistent player. And therefore, he's our most exhausted player, because, you know, Ollie doesn't like to make changes, does he? So, yeah, I'm very happy with Bruno Fernandes. As for Dalot, just very quickly on Dalot, Swapnil says, Mark, yesterday I was just thinking if we had signed Sancho last summer, how easy it was for United's board to go for Rice in a centre-back. Yesterday, Portugal got knocked out, so Ronaldo transfer rumours begin. Yeah, we'll stick with Portugal for a moment. Dalot, I thought, played very well last night. I think if you're a Dalot fan, it's only going to frustrate you. If you're not a Dalot fan, I think it puts him in the shop window. So for me, Dalot's performance last night was a real positive. Quite surprising to see that Bruno was on the bench and then Dalot starts. Yet he's a United outcast, and Bruno's our favourite player, our best player, arguably. But I thought Dalot did well. You know, I did, and I think AC Milan will probably look at it and go, yeah, let's do a deal there. The thing about Dalot for me is I think defensively he's suspect, and I've always thought that. And if that's what Ollie thinks, I don't disagree. But if you're looking for a backup right back I think Ollie wants a backup right back who is going to really push Wan-Bissaka. And obviously Brandon Williams isn't doing that. And I think he should have been given the opportunity, but he hasn't. And Ollie just clearly doesn't rate Dalot. So it's all right saying keep Dalot, but Ollie doesn't rate Dalot. So personally, I think cash in and move on. But look, I'd love us to keep Dalot. I'd love Ollie to come out and say he's my backup right back and I'm going to play him a lot more. He's really come on in the last year, because then it means we park anything we're trying to do with Trippier and we move on into another area, and maybe we do go and get a CDM or something like that. As for Ronaldo, very quickly, with Portugal out, it just brings everything forward 2 weeks. Portugal out, Ronaldo goes on holiday for a couple of weeks, and I expect sort of mid-July, Ronaldo's going to decide what's happening. The story is, as we know, that Juventus are not wanting to keep him, and that Ronaldo is looking at his options. Would Ronaldo end up at Manchester United? I mean, it's nonsensical if his name's not Cristiano Ronaldo. Like, we don't actually need to spend a load of money on a striker. But if you've got Cristiano Ronaldo at Manchester United, it's a different story, isn't it? You know, you sell a lot of shirts, you make a lot of money, you enhance your chances of winning things because he's a born winner. You can't, I don't think you can turn your back on not doing a Ronaldo deal. It's a once in a lifetime chance to bring him back. So I wouldn't say it's impossible, but I think we will get some resolution around Ronaldo. And again, as the person said, Varane for Pogba, I think there's probably more chance of Ronaldo for Pogba in a swap. I'm not sure Pogba wants to go to Real Madrid. Now Zidane's not there, and there's a lot of uncertainty at Real Madrid. Real Madrid are a massive club, but are they anywhere near coming back? I don't think they are. I think Real Madrid could get worse before they get better. So is that the right place for Ronaldo or Pogba to go? Unfortunately, the Bruno slander is encouraged by people who were formerly on this channel. Sadly, but we all love him, says Amit. Well, I'm not aware of any of those people because I don't watch those people for a start. But you know, yeah, I can sort of imagine who you might be talking about. Tabras says that's appalling. Yet you are not Ollie out. Ollie is part of the problem. The nepotism in our club is shocking. We are not a professional club, says Tabras. Well, it might be useful, Tabras, on your next chat to tell us what's appalling, because I don't know what you mean is appalling. Mbappe to Madrid. They do want him. I don't know where they get the money from. Okay, that's great. Midfield, Dalot, Sancho, Shaw, Kamavinga, it's all NIGUEZ. And yeah, just somebody was just asking about Kamavinga there. He is not going to sign a new contract at Rennes, so he's got 1 year left on his contract. Ronaldo to Barcelona. I don't think Barcelona and Real Madrid have got any money at the moment. Yeah, I don't think they have at all. So yeah, I don't. Maybe Ollie doesn't want 2 CDMs. Maybe he wants to leave Pogba in the pivot with 2 classic midfielders. Samuel says that maybe Paul Pogba wants to be managed by the Italian godfather Don Carlo Ancelotti. Look, I don't know what's going to happen with Pogba. I don't think anybody knows what's going to happen with Pogba. As I keep saying, he's focused on France. France are playing tonight. I think France will be playing in this tournament for another 2 weeks. So, you know, Pogba's future after a 2-week holiday is going to be sort of mid-July before we know anything. I think July is going to be a massive month for Manchester United. So much is going to happen in it. We're only 3 days away from the start of July. And I think, you know, the next 5 weeks will be huge for United. I think you're going to find out what's happening with Pogba. We're going to find out what players we're buying. We're going to find out what centre-back we're getting. We're going to find out who's leaving. We're going to find out what's happening with the goalkeeper situation, which at the moment is very, very quiet. But with Paul Pogba, as we've said before, he's in total control of what happens with his future. And that is what... that's it. He's in a very strong position. He's not unhappy at United. He could easily say, I'm staying here for a year and I'm going for free, and there's nothing you can do about it. I mean, there's literally nobody spoken about this. 80 games, Bruno and Rashford. The misuse is ridiculous, as Tabras. Well, we spoke about it all season, to be fair. Make sure you smash a like on the video, by the way, and do subscribe, bottom right-hand corner. We will be going live a lot over the next 5 weeks, and you need your notifications on for that. So make sure you subscribe, bottom right-hand corner, because it could be at any time. Hopefully got a really good video coming up for you at 3:30. But just on Paul Pogba. If Paul Pogba comes out and says, look, I'm not signing a new contract. I'll stay here for another year. And then I'm going for free next summer. And the reason I'm doing that is because, yeah, you'll get a bit of money for me now. You'll get 40, 50 million. But that 40, 50 million in 12 months, which will go like that, ends up in my pocket and my agent's pocket. And I earn £500,000 a week because I'm free. I'd be stupid to sign a new contract with you. I'd be stupid to go and sign for another club because I'm not going to make anywhere near the money I'm going to make if I go for free in a year's time. And he's right. Because if Pogba goes for 50 million, that 50 million goes to United. If he goes in a year's time, he won't get 50 million in his pocket, but he can probably get a good 20 million in wages and maybe 15 million signing on fee that he wouldn't get if he moved in the summer. And all Pogba's got to do is stay in Manchester for another year. Well, I think he's happy to do that. I don't think he's unhappy here. What do United do if that happens? Oh, Paul, we can't lose you again for free. We'll look like a right bunch of prats. Well, you do that on yourselves without me. Oh, please don't do it, Paul. I'm going to do it. Well, we're going to sell you then. Try it. I'm not signing for anybody. We won't pick you then. Try that then. See how the media react to that. See how the fans react to that. You'll get bantered. Oh. All right, well, please sign a new contract or just be quiet and pretend that we're talking about trying to get you to get a new contract all season. I'll do that. Yeah, let's go. Like, he's got total control. And if United can get him to sign a new contract, that's why it would be fantastic, as long as we don't pay him stupid money. You know, we shouldn't be paying him 400 grand a week. But he's got total control. And if I was Man United, I think the only way to solve this is to provide the platform to get Paul Pogba to sign the contract. So get Sancho in, get Varane in, get a good quality CDM and say, look, Paul Pogba, you stay here with what we've got. Next year we could win the Champions League and the Premier League. It's a big ask, but that's what the board should be doing. Ronaldo joining makes work rate better overall, says Jacob. And do you think Ollie has learned anything from last season, or do you think he will keep playing the same 15 players, says Will Green? Well, that's the £15 million question, isn't it? Do I think Ollie will change next season? I think Ricky and I think Jordan as well the other night put it best when they said, I don't. I think there's too much for him to change. You want him to sort out the defensive coaching. You want him to sort out the midfield. You want him to sort out breaking down a low block. You want him to sort out rotating his players. You want to sort out, the ability to, make substitutions early. You want him to sort out as not being second half FC. There's a lot of things for him to sort out there. And even if he wants to, can he change that many things in 3 months? Probably not. But that's why next season is going to be a massive, massive season to see how it works out. Clarkey says, how come Pogba can focus on France and not worry about his future, but yet on a crucial Champions League game against RB Leipzig could only focus on his future? Well, yeah, you make a good point. Very unpopular opinion. Why do we need more players to make a midfielder better? Doesn't a midfielder make players around him better like Bruno did, says a retro. But I think that's just life, mate. I think you're right. Bruno came into the club and everyone went up a level. Pogba does need players around him. But that's just a personality trait. I think that if you dropped Paul Scholes in his prime into a, Norwich midfield, would he have the same impact as Roy Keane in his prime? No. Paul Scholes is a better footballer, but Roy Keane is a better footballer because of what he brings to a team. And, I think Bruno Fernandes brings different things to Paul Pogba. I'm not saying Paul Pogba's not a leader, but the type of player Bruno is, I think you could drop him into a team and he'd improve Southampton. Pogba would improve Southampton, but would he improve them as... what I'm trying to say is that Pogba and Bruno is probably a bad example because I like both players, but what I'm saying is that the type of player, the type of personality, the way they play the game impacts a team very, very differently. I think Pogba does need a Kante next to him, an Mbappe wide, a Varane behind him, a Griezmann in front of him, and you get the best out of Paul Pogba there. And he's a world-class player. I don't think some players do need that. As I say, you drop a Roy Keane or a Steven Gerrard or a John Terry into any team, and they're going to galvanise it. But it's. Akshat says, is that not an example of Pogba being a system player and Bruno is individually brilliant? I think Pogba's individually brilliant as well. I just think it's not worked out at United because when Pogba plays with the likes of Bruno, you get a better Pogba. When you put Pogba in a midfield with just McTominay and Fred, he suffers. But then so does Bruno. Bruno plays better with Pogba as well. You look at Portugal. Portugal first game, it was Kamavinga. Carvalho, Danilo and Bruno was shit. And then you look at that midfield when he was playing with Paulinho and Renato Sanchez, and he's much better. Pogba is irreplaceable the way he plays, to be honest, says Jacob. Look, we're getting stuck into a Pogba conversation that we could be in for hours here. Look, please smash a like on the video. Make sure you subscribe. Obviously, we will be going live whenever there is any big news coming out, but I'm hoping that we're going to have a video going up for you at about 3:30 today, which will be very good in relation to what's going on in the transfer window. Make sure you subscribe. We will be live at 10 o'clock again tonight as well. We've got a 10 o'clock show for the next couple of nights because of all these Euros games going on. We can't fit in the 8 o'clock show because there's a kickoff at 8 o'clock, and if you do it at 7 o'clock, the 5 o'clock game might go to extra time. So we're putting it at 10 o'clock, but we have got a show coming up for you about 3:30 this afternoon as well. So thanks everyone for watching. Have a good day, and I'll speak to you all very soon. But look, Kamavinga thing is progressing. Looks like we are very much looking at replacements here for Pogba, maybe even Van der Beek. I wish it was a specialist CDM, but it looks like we're looking for replacements for Pogba, which could be a little bit daunting, but let's see. Thanks for watching. Take care. Stay safe. Thanks everyone who's getting involved. TUS Army. I'll speak to you all in a bit.